To help us get our life plan in place is David L. Carrier and his son Patrick. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us, Leanne.
Absolutely. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time, kind of give us a little overview, and then go on from there.
So if we could kind of recap.
Yeah.
Here's how wills work and trusts and probate and all that good stuff, right? Most people go through life like they just ran into Meijer for a loaf of bread. They wind up with a whole pile of stuff, everything in their own name. If you slip and fall, well, the stuff goes flying, and then out comes the probate court to clean up the mess. Cleaning up the mess, and then who comes next? Well, it's the lawyer with the will, and then probate costs, fees, and all this character comes out, right? So, whoops, sorry. And not only that, since 2011 when they started enforcing the law, oh my goodness, it's a state recovery. Okay, all this stuff happens if you go through probate, if you make a mess. So how do we stop you from making a mess? Well, the answer is the shopping cart, the trust. Lots of people have trusts, okay? And the idea here is, and it's a good idea, mind you, here's the idea. You're still in the Meijer, you still have your life savings, your house, it's not groceries, right? It's your life savings, whatever it is you've got. And the idea is you put that stuff into the shopping cart. Now you go through life with your stuff in the shopping cart, pushing the shopping cart, life is one sweet song, right?
Sure.
Now you slip and fall. What happens to your stuff?
It stays right there.
Shall we test the theory?
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
There
Why, look at that. You're right. There's no mess. There's nothing for Justin to do or the dragon or the, okay? None of that's necessary because you didn't make a mess.
Right.
That's how the trust works. That's how trust avoid probate. But now here's the dirty little secret. It's not a secret to anybody, frankly, who deals with this stuff. It's not a secret to insurance agents. It's not a secret to banks or lawyers or anybody else. But the secret is most trusts fail. Probably about 90% of the trusts fail. And the reason is people don't put their stuff in the trust. We see a lot of trusts that other law firms have done, and about half of them have absolutely nothing in the trust. Some of them, about excuse me, about 40%, you have the house in the trust or a bank account or something like that. But most of the time, none of the 40% more, there's not all the stuff in the trust, meaning you still got a bunch of stuff in your name. Now, 10% of the time, everything's in the trust, about 10%. But the rest of the time, you've still got stuff. And what happens, even though you've got one thing in your trust, the rest is in your name, what happens if you slip and fall? Well, you made a mess, and now you're going back to probate again.
Right.
See, so all these folks, an awful lot of the folks, 90% of folks who have trust and think, oh, I got a trust, I'm all set, are sadly mistaken because most of the stuff that they have is still probably in their name, unless they're one of the 10% who actually follow through. Now, in our office, we do it very differently. You don't get your shopping cart with us. You don't get your shopping cart. You don't get your documents. You're not finished until you come through our funding process. Putting the stuff in the cart is what we call funding. Okay. We've got 4 people full-time. All they do all day. They don't answer the phone. They don't run copies. All they do all day is make sure that your stuff is in the trust. And then after we get it all in the trust the first go round, you come back in a couple of months. We double check to make sure it's in the trust. And then from here on out, it's always a free phone call. It's always a free visit to make sure that if you're, you sell your house, you buy another one, you go from the bank to the credit union or whatever, that we make sure that your stuff stays in the trust. And that's the only way we've come up with, and I'm not aware of anyone else who makes that commitment, but that's the only way we've come up with to make sure that your stuff is actually in your shopping cart. So now if you slip and fall, well, we can't do anything about that. I'm sorry.
Those guys stay hungry over there.
Those guys, you don't have to mess with those guys. And that's how the trust works. That's how trusts work, and that's how they should work.
And if you want to learn more about your workshops, the best place to go is actually to your website, probably, to learn a little bit more about times and places.
The way to start figuring out if a shopping cart is the good thing for you is at one of the Life Plan workshops. And these workshops we do every single week here in Grand Rapids at the home office. But we also do workshops on alternating weekends in Muskegon and in Holland. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Yes, we've done this a couple of times.
Well, you know what I was thinking? in February we just leased some space down in Portage, Kalamazoo.
Okay.
So in February we'll start. We won't have to make the trip up from
great.
Kalamazoo either.
Great.
So Patrick will be handling the workshops down there.
Sounds good.
Yes,
But,
indeed.
yeah.
All right, yeah, because by then we may have some snow and driving may be challenging,
right.
but we don't know. We don't know. But for more information, as we talk about, to learn more about his little life plan workshops, call locally at 616-361-8400, toll free 888-463-2843. Once again, his local office here in Grand Rapids at 4965 East Beltline Northeast, and go to davidcarrierlaw.com to get more information. All right, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
Absolutely.